Part 13. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kge Now. Chapter 122. Len Ning raised the corners of his mouth and touched the vines with his little hands. The vine immediately trembled slightly, as if enjoying it. Huo Xiao looked at the scene in front of him and Len Ning's face, a little obsessed. Sorry, the wood spiritual pet only takes orders from its owner. Even if I want to sell it, you can't get it, Len Ning said to Huo Xiao. If she hadn't known that Huo Xiao was cruel, how could she have thrown Xiaoman out just now? Yes, he turned out to be a wood-type superpower. Huo Xiao gave Len Ning an appreciative look. What's your name? Then he looked at Len Ning and asked. A hint of impatience flashed in Len Ning's eyes, Len Ning, but he still answered. Len Ning, your name is nice too. My name is Huo Xiao. Huo Xiao looked at Len Ning with dazzling eyes. Len Ning had no expression on his face. Huo Xiao, of course she knew his name, it was her nightmare in her previous life. Seeing Len Ning's lack of reaction, the smile on Huo Xiao's face faded. There are enough supplies here to last us for a year and a half. Why don't you leave and stay and join us? Huo Xiao turned his hands outward and said to Len Ning in high spirits. If in the beginning he only liked her as a man would like a woman, then now besides that, he also wanted to win over her. This woman is actually stronger than him. If she is roped in to join him, their team will be even stronger. As for the two followers she brought, they seemed to be quite powerful, so he could barely accept them. Zhang Peng saw that Huo Xiao was going back on his word and wanted to detain them, so he was ready to argue with him. But as soon as he stepped forward, he was stopped by Yuan Xing. Yuan Xing gave Zhang Peng a look. All their actions are under the command of the boss. Only then did Zhang Peng retreat. At the same time, the two of them clenched the daggers in their hands, ready to take action at any time. We had our word first. Len Ning's voice turned cold. Huo Xiao suddenly laughed. Ha ha. So what if I have something to say first? Xiao Ning, you are on my territory now. He really liked this woman more and more. A flash of resentment flashed in Len Ning's eyes. Just give it a try and see if you can keep me. Xiao Ning, this was the name he used for himself in his previous life. The affectionate shout once made her addicted, but now she only feels ironic and disgusting. As soon as Len Ning finished speaking, the atmosphere instantly became tense. Huo Xiao looked at Len Ning, his eyes gradually becoming fierce. Huo Xiao's men also began to approach Yuan Xing and Zhang Peng with malicious intentions. Ha ha. Suddenly, Len Ning chuckled. What are you laughing at? The fierce look on Huo Xiao's face disappeared, and then he asked with some displeasure. Laughing at you for being too conceited, Len Ning said in a deep voice. Do you know thunder? Then he spoke. Everyone at the scene was shocked when they heard Lei Lei's name. Huo Xiao's expression also became much more serious. Do you also know Mr. Lei? Then he asked Len Ning in confusion. He has been involved in the underworld for several years, so he has naturally heard of thunder. Regardless of his prominent background, Lei Ting is indeed a number one. It's a pity that he retired too early, otherwise he really wanted to meet him and get acquainted with him. He is my eldest brother, Len Ning said proudly. As soon as these words came out, Huo Xiao's men unconsciously showed a hint of fear on their faces. That's Mr. Lei. Although he has been retired for many years, there is no one on the road who is not afraid of 3 points when it comes to Mr. Lei. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kge Now. Chapter 123. Moreover, Mr. Lei said he was retiring, but that didn't mean he was completely abstaining from the underworld. The fights between many gangs in Cydia were finally resolved by him with just one sentence. If this little girl is really Mr. Lei's sister, how dare they mess with her? Although there are so many zombies outside now, it's like the end of the world. But who knows whether social order will be restored in a while. Even if he never recovers, A person as powerful as Mr. Lei must have a lot of weapons and manpower in his hands. What would happen to them if he knew that they were detaining his sister? Huo Xiao ignored the reactions of his men, narrowed his eyes and looked straight at Len Ning. How to prove it? After a while, he finally said. If this girl is really the princess of the Lei family, then he really has to treat her carefully. Len Ning curled his lips, pulled a pendant from his neck, and threw it towards Huo Xiao. Huo Xiao took it in his hand. There is a group photo of our family here. My eldest brother is also here, Len Ning said with a bit of arrogance. Huo Xiao glanced at Len Ning suspiciously, and then opened the pendant. Inside the pendant is a small photo of 3 people. There is no doubt that the girl is the woman in front of me. The tall and handsome man behind the girl has an outstanding temperament. Just looking at the photo gives people the feeling of looking down on everyone. Although Huo Xiao had never met Lei Ting, he knew that Len Ning was not lying the first time he saw the photo. Huo Xiao made a calculation in his mind. Haha, it turns out you are the daughter of the Lei family. Huo is rude. Then he stood up and saluted Len Ning with his fists raised. Whether it was before or after the apocalypse, thunder was something he couldn't afford to offend. On the contrary, if he can climb to the top of the Lei family, his future development will be unlimited. Len Ning glanced at Huo Xiao contemptuously and said nothing. What a big change. What was arrogant just now is now polite. Yes, Huo Xiao is very good at pretending. In his previous life, before he showed his true face, he had always shown his graceful side in front of her. It was also for this reason that she didn't believe her eldest brother's investigation, saying that before the end of the world, he was a gangster who hadn't even graduated from high school. Seeing Len Ning's attitude, Huo Xiao was not angry at all. I didn't know the lady's identity before, so I was very offended. I hope you can forgive me instead, he respectfully apologized to Len Ning. Len Ning spread his hands forward. A trace of hesitation flashed across Huo Xiao's face. Then he came forward and returned the pendant to Len Ning. Can we leave now? Len Ning asked unhappily after taking the pendant. So what happened today? A strange look flashed across Huo Xiao's face, and then he asked. Since it is a misunderstanding, I will naturally not worry about it, Len Ning said, holding back the nausea in his heart. Huo Xiao immediately had a smile on his face. I wonder where Mr. Lei is now, then he asked. Seeing that Len Ning's expression became unhappy again, Huo Xiao hurriedly said, Oh, we brothers used to hang out in the South District and admired young Master Lei very much. I hope I can have the opportunity to meet young Master Lei. We can give all the supplies in the supermarket to Mr. Lei, Huo Xiao continued after seeing Len Ning's lack of reaction. When the men in black heard what their boss said, they all looked at Len Ning. The boss's meaning is very obvious. He wants to take everyone with him to defect to Mr. Lei. If Lei Xiao is willing to take them in, it would indeed be a good place to go. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 124. Len Ning glanced at the supplies in the supermarket and finally looked better. Huo Xiao immediately raised a flattering smile. With so much material as a pledge, he was confident that the thunder would not refuse. I sneaked out today behind my brother's back. I don't have any say in this matter. Len Ning looked away and said to Huo Xiao. Huo Xiao was stunned. This would explain why she appeared here with only 2 people. However, this girl is indeed very powerful. If she was the only one who came today, they might force her to stay. Can the lady Huo Xiao was about to ask Len Ning to help introduce him to Lei Ting, but was interrupted by Len Ning's wave. Okay, let us go first. When we get back to Thunder Base, I will tell my brother about you. Seeing Huo Xiao's doubtful expression, Len Ning smiled and said, With so much supplies here, I believe that Big Brother will send someone to pick you up. Why don't we go back with you now, Huo Xiao said, we can still escort you. Now that it is confirmed that this girl is Lei Ting's sister, he must seize this opportunity. He had offended this girl a lot just now, and he was a little worried that if he let her go back, she would not tell Lei Lei about the situation here. Len Ning glanced at Huo Xiao and his men contemptuously. Escort me. It's more dangerous to be afraid of you. Len Ning's tone was a little sarcastic. We came up from the garage, but we didn't see a single car below. We can't carry so many people in one car. Huo Xiao led a group of people to guard the supermarket, probably not because he was greedy for the supplies here, but because he couldn't leave at all. Along the way, she discovered that there were horrifyingly many zombies in this area and very few vehicles could be seen on the streets of the town. Well, even if Huo Xiao and the others can escape from here smoothly and find the zombie car on the street, it's also difficult for them to drive away without the car keys. Reality is not a movie, and a car cannot be used with just a few tinkerings. If you run outside without a means of transportation, there is only one end, and that is to become the meat in the mouths of zombies sooner or later. Huo Xiao's face darkened. If he hadn't been plotted by someone, why would he have been trapped in the supermarket? I'll go with you alone first, Huo Xiao suddenly said. Everyone present was stunned. The men all looked at Huo Xiao and became panicked. Boss, what does this mean? Are you going to leave them alone? I will go with Miss Len Ning to the Thunder base to meet Mr. Lei first. Once I meet Mr. Lei, I will personally bring the people and the car back to pick you up, Huo Xiao said to the crowd. He couldn't let go of this opportunity now. Only by following this girl can he leave here. This town is too remote, and the probability of encountering outsiders will only become smaller and smaller. Even if there are a lot of supplies in the supermarket, sooner or later they will run out. By that time, it will be too late. Only by meeting Thunder and joining Thunder base can he have a chance to live and live well. As for coming back to pick these people up, if Lei Lei gives someone else a car, he will naturally be willing to make the trip. After all, these people have been with him for a long time and are considered loyal to him. Moreover, when he went to the Thunder base, he also needed some help from his own people. But if Thunder doesn't like the supplies here, then he can only give up on them. You can't blame him for being cruel, the reality is too cruel. The subordinates felt a little more at ease, but some people still felt uneasy. Thank you Fusiking for the 2 bottles of ice cola. Writing a novel is both hard work and joy. It feels great to be recognized by others. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 125. Don't worry. With so much supplies here, Master Lei will definitely send someone. A confident smile appeared on Huo Xiao's face. Then he looked at the subordinate who supported him the most. The subordinate understood immediately. Yes, there are so many supplies, the subordinate shouted. The boss has never deceived the brothers, has he? Boss, I believe you, then, a sturdy man said immediately. I believe it too, followed by another tall man. With so many supplies, Mr. Lei must be interested. Boss, I support you. All of Huo Xiao's men agreed. Len Ning looked at Huo Xiao's pretending to be moved, and couldn't help but spit in his heart. He can even deceive his own brothers who have been through life and death. As a person like this, there are probably few people who are more shameless than him. After calming his men, Huo Xiao looked at Len Ning again. Miss Len Ning, the meaning was obvious, he wanted to go with them. Since none of your people have any objections, let's go together. Len Ning curled his lips and said. Zheng Peng's eyes changed. Let Huo Xiao follow them. How can that work? Although the boss is indeed Mr. Lei's sister, Mr. Lei hasn't come back yet. Seeing Huo Xiao looking at Zheng Peng, Yuan Xing quickly winked at Zheng Peng. Zhang Peng immediately realized something was wrong and quickly put away his worried look. He has to trust the boss. Since the boss did this, she must have a reason. They are still on Huo Xiao's territory and cannot arouse his suspicion. Seeing Huo Xiao frowning, Len Ning raised the corner of his mouth. "Let's go," he said. Yes, Huo Xiao calmed down his expression unnaturally and replied to Len Ning. "Why did Nazai's follower look like that just now?" Len Ning turned around, gave Yuan Xing and Zhang Peng a look, and walked forward. Yuan Xing and Zhang Peng hurriedly followed. The three of them walked for nearly 10 meters, but Huo Xiao didn't catch up. Zhang Peng looked increasingly nervous. Did he cause trouble for the boss just now? Wait a minute. Suddenly, Huo Xiao's voice came. The three of them were shocked at the same time. Len Ning stopped and calmed down. Is there anything else? He turned around and asked Huo Xiao. There were expressions of impatience on his face. Seeing Huo Xiao's eyes flashing with caution and his face horribly gloomy, the look of disgust on Len Ning's face was even worse, but there was no word guilty. Gradually, Huo Xiao's expression changed. He restrained all his sinister thoughts and returned to his respectful and polite appearance. We collected some gold, silver, and jade articles before. Miss Leng, please wait for me for a while. I will get them as a gift for Mr. Lei, Huo Xiao said. It is said that antiques are hidden in prosperous times and gold is hidden in troubled times. These last days are equivalent to chaotic times. Ruan-Mi coins have lost their value, but gold, silver, and jade are still valuable. Len Ning curled his lips. Forget it. What kind of treasure does my eldest brother have? He then said arrogantly. Seeing that Huo Xiao didn't answer, he glanced at him casually. Come on, go ahead. Since you are going to seek refuge with your eldest brother, bringing some gifts is better than nothing, then he said with compassion. Gold and silver are indeed of little use at the moment. But after a year and a half, when the situation in the major security bases stabilizes, they will be of great use. Since Huo Xiao wanted to give her something, she certainly had no reason to refuse it. Thank you, miss, please wait a moment. Huo Xiao bowed to Len Ning and left quickly. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 126. After Huo Xiao left, Len Ning was bored and looked around the supermarket. There are so many supplies, it would be a pity to miss them. Huo Xiao's men looked at Len Ning and the others in a flattering manner, but no one dared to come forward and talk to them. After waiting for about 5 minutes, just when Len Ning started to feel unhappy and wanted to leave, Huo Xiao finally came back in a hurry. I saw that he was holding a bulging travel bag in his hand. It should undoubtedly contain the gold, silver, and jade he mentioned. Len Ning raised his eyebrows. Not bad, I'm quite willing to spend a lot of money on it. Miss Leng, you've been waiting for a long time. Let's go. Huo Xiao smiled and said to Len Ning. Yeah, Len Ning said lightly as he took his eyes away from Huo Xiao's bag. Then turned and left. Yuan Xing and Zhang Peng quickly followed. Huo Xiao walked at the end, waving goodbye to his men. Len Ning led several people back from where they came. As soon as I reached the exit of the first floor, I heard movement at the top of the stairs. Thinking it was a zombie, Len Ning was just about to take action. But I heard the other party say, "Boss, it's me." A cluster of flames instantly appeared in the darkness, and at the same time, the flashlight in Len Ning's hand also shone on Zhou Tao's face. Zhou Tao covered his eyes with his hands, but had a smile on his face. Infected by Zhou Tao's smile, Len Ning and the others smiled unconsciously. There is a feeling of finally getting out of a crisis. I thought something happened to you if you haven't come down for so long, Zhou Tao said with a hint of complaint. He had already moved and disposed of the corpses in the parking lot. By the way, he also hunted dozens of zombies at the entrance of the parking lot and got some crystal nuclei. At the beginning, he felt that he was very efficient at work and would have to be praised by his boss later, but gradually he began to worry. The boss and the others just went to the supermarket to check the situation, but it has been more than 2 hours and no one has come down yet. The more he thought about it, the more worried he became, so he decided to go upstairs to see the situation. Fortunately, it was a false alarm and everyone was fine. We are very lucky. If the boss is here to protect us, how can anything happen? Zhang Peng replied to Zhou Tao with a smile. Zhou Tao looked at Zhang Peng and suddenly found a stranger following him. Just as he was about to ask a question, he heard Len Ning say, "Stop talking nonsense and get in the car first." A flash of displeasure flashed across Huo Xiao's face. This girl is very vindictive. Now they are considered fellow travelers, but they don't even want to introduce them. But he didn't take it too seriously. He followed Nazai to meet Lei Ting. As for this girl's followers, it's best if they can have a good relationship with them. If not, it doesn't matter. Oh. Okay. Zhou Tao glanced at Huo Xiao and turned around in confusion. Then the group went downstairs to the parking lot. Seeing Zhang Peng consciously enter the cab and Len Ning get into the co-pilot, Huo Xiao felt a little uncomfortable again. He was actually allowed to sit in the cargo compartment with 2 other followers. But no one paid attention to Huo Xiao's displeasure. Zhou Tao and Yuan Xing had already gone straight to the cargo compartment. Hearing that Zhang Peng had started the car, Huo Xiao couldn't care less about his discomfort. He quickly threw the bag in his hand into the car, then turned over and got into the cargo compartment neatly. Zhou Tao saw Huo Xiao's good skills, and a flash of appreciation flashed in his eyes. Just as he was about to talk to Huo Xiao, he saw Yuan Xing giving him a warning look. Zhou Tao was a little puzzled, but he vaguely guessed that the person the boss and the others had brought back might not be that simple. Then he gave up the idea of talking to Huo Xiao. The pickup truck drove along a path lined with bodies on both sides and soon left the garage. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 127. Huo Xiao's body came into contact with the sun, and the haze in his heart quickly disappeared. After today, there will be a new life. The zombies heard the sound of the pickup truck and chased them madly. Zhang Peng looked calm and immediately increased the accelerator. After knocking away 2 oncoming zombies, they quickly left behind most of the zombies chasing them. Soon, the pickup truck successfully drove everyone out of H-Town. Looking at the beautiful scenery on both sides of the road, Huo Xiao's heart relaxed unconsciously. Finally, he felt the feeling of freedom again. In the passenger seat, Len Ning looked solemn. Zhang Peng was also tense, waiting for Len Ning to speak at any time. Suddenly, Len Ning moved. She made a gesture to signal Zhang Peng to stop. Zhang Peng quickly stepped on the brake. Due to inertia, everyone leaned forward. Damn it, Zhang Peng, how did you drive the car? Zhou Tao immediately cursed and shouted. Zhang Peng looked at Len Ning. Seeing Len Ning nodding towards him, Zhang Peng calmed down, immediately took off his seat belt, opened the door and got out of the car. What's wrong? Seeing Zhang Peng get out of the car, Zhou Tao finally realized that something might be wrong and asked Zhang Peng. It seems like nails were stuck in both the front and rear tires. Zhang Peng didn't look at Zhou Tao, but kicked the tire near the cab. Then he leaned over and checked impatiently. A strange look flashed across Yuan Xing's face. While Huo Xiao poked his head to see what was going on, he gave Zhou Tao a look. Zhou Tao followed Yuan Xing's gaze and glanced at Huo Xiao, and immediately guessed that Zhang Peng's parking was probably not as simple as a tire problem. At this time, Len Ning also got out of the passenger seat. We don't have a spare tire. Look at how serious the situation is. If the car slows down, Can we still go? Len Ning said, pretending to be worried when he walked to Zhang Peng. Hearing Len Ning's words, Huo Xiao's brows suddenly wrinkled. Is it such a coincidence? Just 10 minutes after the car drove out of town, there was something wrong with the tire? Zhang Peng took out a flashlight and inspected the inside of the tire, and even lay down on the ground to inspect it. After a while, he got up and went to the back to check the rear tires. At this time, a wandering corpse ran towards them. A flash of irritation flashed across Zhou Tao's face. Grandma! Hold on tight, there are a lot of zombies around here, he said and got out of the car. Then, he took out his dagger and started to deal with the zombies running excitedly towards the car. Yuan Xing was not idle either. He quickly got out of the car and joined Zhou Tao's queue to kill zombies. 5 minutes later, Zhou Tao became angry when he saw that the number of wandering corpses not only did not decrease, but increased in number. That new guy, what are you doing sitting here? Why don't you come over to help? After taking a moment, Zhou Tao turned around and shouted to Huo Xiao. Huo Xiao glanced at Zhang Peng and Len Ning, who were still checking the tires, and a flash of hesitation flashed on his face. Then he looked at the large wave of zombies coming in groups, finally put down the bag he had been holding, turned over and got out of the car. With the addition of Huo Xiao, the threat of zombies quickly diminished. The corners of Len Ning's mouth raised in an arc. He winked at Zhang Peng, who was on the ground. Zhang Peng stood up immediately. I'm afraid the situation is not good. If you continue to drive, you may get a puncture or even roll over, then he said with a solemn face. Grandma! Zhang Peng, are you kidding me? Zhou Tao said angrily while killing zombies. But it must not be true, otherwise they would have to walk back on 2 legs for such a long distance. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Qi Now. Chapter 128. Huo Xiao had a serious look on his face. While killing zombies, he turned to look at the situation over at Len Ning. This section of the road has too many cliffs. It would be very dangerous if you force the car to drive on it, Zhang Peng continued. Len Ning became furious instantly. Then he kicked the tire. There's nothing we can do, then he said to Zhang Peng unhappily. Zhang Peng thought for a moment. Yes, then he said. Hurry, Len Ning said immediately. There is a gas station 2 kilometers away from here. We can go there and think of a solution, Zhang Peng said. Huo Xiao listened carefully to the conversation between Zhang Peng and Len Ning and did not dare to let down his guard. He knew the gas station Zhang Peng was talking about, but the tire was broken, so it would be useless even if he got to the gas station. What can you think of? Len Ning said angrily to Zhang Peng. Apparently he and Huo Xiao wanted to be together. When I came here earlier, I noticed a broken down pickup truck on the side of the gas station. It happened to be the same model as ours. There is more than one car on the roadside. You should be able to find tire changing tools by searching in the trunk, Zhang Peng continued. How about boss, you come with me and we go get 2 tires and replace them. Len Ning was silent. You go, I'll stay and look after the car, then he said. Zhang Peng looked troubled. But, our strength, I'm afraid it's not enough. There are too many zombies in this area. There may be more zombies at the gas station. Coward, Len Ning glared at Zhang Peng angrily. Huo Xiao, why don't you go with Zhang Peng? Then he shouted to Huo Xiao, who was not far away. Huo Xiao was stunned. He looked back at Len Ning and Zhang Peng. Then he took another look at the things he had put in the pickup truck. I'm with you then, he said in a deep voice. He wasn't sure if Len Ning was acting with her followers. Huo Xiao decided that he would be where Len Ning was. At the same time, wherever he is, his things are there. I don't want to walk anymore. Len Ning said a little frustrated. Then he directly said to Zhou Tao and Yuan Xing, Zhang Peng can't handle it alone. You two accompany him. Huo Xiao and I will stay here. Huo Xiao frowned, feeling something was wrong. But there seems to be nothing faulty about Len Ning's approach. Her 3 followers were indeed far inferior to him in strength. Let the 3 of them act together, and safety will indeed be guaranteed. As he spoke, Len Ning had already walked over. Then Xiaoman was released and joined the battle. Okay. Boss, let's leave now, Yuan Xing said hurriedly, while giving Zhou Tao a look. Zhou Tao understood. Boss, you are optimistic about the car, he followed. Yes. Go and come back quickly, Len Ning said in a deep voice. Just like that, the other 3 members of the Manman team slipped away from under Huo Xiao's nose. After the 3 figures disappeared from sight, Len Ning finally looked at Huo Xiao. No more worries, it's time for her to take revenge. I saw a cold light in Len Ning's eyes, and Xiaoman suddenly changed the direction of attack in his hand. Several vines quickly headed towards Huo Xiao, who was killing zombies. Huo Xiao's natural vigilance made him realize that something was wrong in an instant. He ducked and narrowly avoided Xiaoman's attack. What are you doing? Huo Xiao looked at Len Ning dangerously and asked with surprise on his face. Is this girl crazy? With so many zombies in front of her and a powerful enemy in front of her, she still wanted to kill him to avenge her anger? What are you doing? Didn't you see it? Putting away Xiaoman, Len Ning looked at Huo Xiao coldly and said. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Qi Now. Chapter 129. I couldn't deal with Han Yu before. She watched helplessly as she followed teacher Jiang's team out of the apartment. Because of this, she is still a little angry. Now Huo Xiao took the initiative to get close to her. If she didn't take the opportunity to take revenge, she would be sorry for the opportunity he took the initiative to give her. Nizai, what happened before was a misunderstanding. I didn't know you were Mr. Lei's sister before. How about this, when we get to the Thunder base, no matter how you beat or scold me, I will never fight back, okay? Huo Xiao chopped off the head of the zombie closest to him and said to Len Ning. Or you can tell me how you want to calm down, and I will definitely cooperate. Huo Xiao had already noticed something was wrong at this time. In the supermarket before, the only reason Nizai did not have a direct conflict with him was to protect her 2 followers. But just now, she had sent away all 3 of her followers. He was indeed much stronger than her 3 followers, but he couldn't compare to her. If she really had murderous intentions towards him, it would be difficult for him to escape today. The corner of Len Ning's mouth raised in a sarcastic arc. Okay. Just give me your life and I'll calm down. Len Ning's eyes were filled with fierceness. Then he waved Xiaoman and rushed directly towards Huo Xiao. Huo Xiao's expression changed drastically and he quickly resisted Len Ning's attack. Why do you have any grudge against me? Do you have to kill me? After a few rounds of fighting, Huo Xiao realized that Len Ning was indeed not joking with him or threatening him, but really wanted to kill him. Humph, Len Ning snorted coldly and did not answer. But he launched a more fierce attack. Huo Xiao could only go all out to deal with Len Ning. The things in the car belong to you. I'm not going to Thunder Base anymore, can you let me go? Seeing several new wounds on his body, Huo Xiao said to Len Ning again. If you die, the things belong to me. Len Ning's attack was not slow at all. Sweat was already dripping from Huo Xiao's face. Due to excessive mental energy loss, the body's flexibility is getting worse and worse. Finally, after another attack from Len Ning, Huo Xiao dodged and flew out of the cliff. Fortunately, he grabbed a stone on the edge of the cliff with one hand to prevent himself from falling. But despite this, his entire body was already hanging on the edge of the cliff. Huo Xiao finally breathed a sigh of relief as he didn't fall off the cliff. But then he saw Len Ning appear on the edge of the cliff above. Seeing Len Ning looking at him, Huo Xiao was so afraid of a person for the first time, and it was a woman. Why? Huo Xiao asked angrily, knowing that Len Ning would not let him go today. he is an evil person himself and knows that sometimes a person may do evil for no reason. But he didn't believe that Len Ning was a person like him. A cruel smile appeared on Len Ning's lips. Shouldn't a cruel and vicious person like you die? Then he asked coldly. Go to hell, don't go too fast, I will send Han Yu to accompany you soon. You won't be alone. Without waiting for Huo Xiao to reply, Len Ning swung out Xiaoman. Seeing Xiaoman's sharp vines coming straight towards his face, Huo Xiao became worried and took the initiative to loosen his hand holding the rock. Then, Huo Xiao fell rapidly. Len Ning looked at all this indifferently. The cliff is so deep that you can even see the mist lingering below. Huo Xiao should have no chance of survival. The mountain breeze blew, and a ray of sunlight penetrated the clouds from the sky and fell on Len Ning on the edge of the cliff. Thank you all for your company. If you like this little cutie, please use your little fortune-making hands to subscribe. MMM. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Ki Now. Chapter 130. Len Ning felt very comfortable and couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth. This picture is so beautiful. When Zhou Tao and the other three came back, they saw such a beautiful picture. Seeing Len Ning standing on the edge of the cliff without moving for a long time, Yuan Xing couldn't help but shout, fearing that she would have any bad thoughts. Len Ning came to his senses. Looking back, there was still a smile on his face. This smile is beautiful, like a newly blooming rose. At this moment, the hearts of the three of them were trembling. After being with the boss for so long, they almost forgot that she was a young girl younger than them. Huo Xiao Yuan Xing looked at the cliff behind Len Ning inquiringly. It fell. Len Ning raised the corner of his mouth and replied. For a moment, a strange emotion surged in the three people's hearts. I killed him, Len Ning continued. The three of them were even more confused. Are you so happy to kill people? Although that person is indeed not a good person. Let's go, let's see what's in his bag. Len Ning, unaware of the three of them, strode toward the pickup truck with a smile. Yuan Xing winked at Zhang Peng, and Zhang Peng immediately went to deal with the few wandering zombies. Yuan Xing and Zhou Tao went to chase Len Ning. Len Ning was seen jumping onto the pickup truck vigorously. Then he took the travel bag that Huo Xiao had left in the car and put it at the rear of the car. Just in time for Yuan Xing and Zhou Tao, who were following, to check with him. Heh, it's quite heavy, Len Ning said with a smile. Find the zipper of the travel bag and open it. Immediately, some of the gold, silver, jade, and the like inside fell out. I thought there were gold bricks or something, but they were all bulk goods, Len Ning said, a little disappointed as he picked up a few gold chains. Bulk goods are far less valuable than whole goods. Judging from the appearance of these things, they should be from the jewelry counter of a department store. After the apocalypse, it seems that Huo Xiao frequently robs jewelry stores. Seeing an exquisite jade pendant, Len Ning suddenly remembered something. Then, Len Ning suddenly picked up the travel bag and dumped all the contents out. Then I started excitedly looking for jade jewelry among a large number of jewelry. After searching for more than $12 in a row, Len Ning suddenly laughed. Ha ha ha, what a blessing. Yuan Xing and Zhou Tao were like monks 2 feet tall, confused. Len Ning raised the corner of his mouth and threw a piece of jade in his hand to Yuan Xing. Take it, feel it, and see what's inside. Then he smiled mysteriously. Yuan Xing was stunned. Do it immediately. In less than 3 seconds, Yuan Xing's face was filled with ecstasy. What is it? Let me see it. Zhou Tao immediately snatched the jade from Yuan Xing's hand. Then I also felt it. Grandma's. There's space here, he then said in surprise. This is the space jade, Len Ning explained. Then he smiled and took the space jade back from Zhou Tao's hand. In front of the two people's coveted eyes, he put the jade article into his pocket. There should be space jades here, pick them all out, Len Ning continued. As soon as these words came out, where could Yuan Xing and Zhou Tao wait? He quickly scrambled to select and inspect the jade. After a lot of manipulation, the three of them selected a total of 5 space jades from Huo Xiao's large bag of jewelry and jades. I will keep these 2 jade rings, and the remaining 3 of you will have 1 for each of you. Looking at Zhou Tao and Yuan Xing with expectant faces, Len Ning took another jade ring from the space jade and left. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Qi Now. Chapter 131. After Len Ning took the jade ring, Zhou Tao and Yuan Xing immediately extended their hands. Zhou Tao made the quickest move and grabbed the remaining ring. Yuan Xing had no choice but to choose the pendant. There is one left. Seeing Zhang Peng, who had killed all the wandering corpses and was heading towards them, Zhou Tao and Yuan Xing felt a little sympathetic, but mostly wanted to laugh. Because the last space jade is an earring. Ha ha. Seeing Zhou Tao and Yuan Xing laughing at him for no apparent reason, Zhang Peng didn't know what was going on. Here, this is a good thing from the boss. Zhou Tao took the earrings, walked a few steps forward, and handed the earrings to Zhang Peng enthusiastically. Hearing that it was from Len Ning, Zhang Peng glanced at Len Ning and opened his hands doubtfully. Zhou Tao immediately let go and gave the earring in his hand to Zhang Peng. Zhang Peng was a little confused when he saw it was an earring. This is space jade. It can be used to store things. I have no other intention of giving it to you, Len Ning said. But as soon as he finished speaking, he couldn't help but burst out laughing. In Huigi Middle School, where corrupt culture is rampant, although she doesn't pay much attention to those things, she still knows that the meaning of earrings for boys seems to be a bit special. Ahem, well, you'll know after you close your eyes and feel it. Len Ning suppressed laughter and continued. When you are not familiar with it at first, it is easiest to operate it with your eyes closed. Once you get used to it, you can just use your thoughts without closing your eyes. Among the members of their Manman team, Zhang Peng is the oldest but has the lowest status. There is no other way, who let Zhou Tao and Yuan Xing join first. He directly occupied the positions of 2 vice captains. Therefore, no matter who chooses the space jade first, Zhou Tao or Yuan Xing, the remaining earrings will definitely fall into Zhang Peng's hands. As a straight man, Zhang Peng didn't understand the laughter of the 3 people at all. In school, there are boys in his class who wear earrings, and they are very nice to him. Although he still thinks it's a little girly for boys to wear earrings, but that's different for everyone. Try it, Zhou Tao smiled and said to the dumbfounded Zhang Peng. Oh, okay, Zhang Peng immediately complied. When he sensed the huge space in the earrings, Zhang Peng lost his composure. Boss, this is dash. Zhang Peng was so shocked that he was speechless. Len Ning nodded. With it, storing and moving things is not difficult then, he said with a smile. Then, Len Ning jumped out of the pickup truck neatly. She stretched out a finger and let the space ring on it touch the pickup truck. Something magical happened. The entire pickup truck disappeared from their eyes in an instant. The 3 of them were stunned. Len Ning withdrew his finger and waved it in front of several people. How's it going, then, he said with a smile. Are you interested in going back to H-Town with me to get supplies from the supermarket? Now that Huo Xiao has been eliminated, it is natural that his minions should also be dealt with. The main reason was that the supplies in the supermarket made her greedy. Since they had already encountered them, there was no reason to miss them in vain. Okay, boss, let's go back, Zhou Tao said first. Len Ning curled his lips and looked at Yuan Xing and Zhang Peng. Well, I also agree to go back, Zhang Peng followed. With so many supplies, it would be a pity to let go of them like this. Yuan Xing nodded for the last time and agreed with Len Ning's proposal. A smile appeared on Len Ning's face. Then he took the pickup truck out of the space ring. Pack the things in the car, Len Ning said, let's go. Walk directly towards the passenger seat. The three of them exchanged glances and got into the car. Zheng Pen turned the steering wheel and drove everyone back towards H-Town.